Yes, 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 yes. It says it's starting. Oh, and we are now live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Evan and Aaron Show presents the Red and the Blue Soccer Chat. We are so happy to be here tonight. Aaron, man, I tell you, we've got tons and tons and tons of soccer stuff to talk tonight. Soccer stuff. I just said soccer stuff. Wow. And, you know, I gotta say that representing the red, white, and blue. USA. Man. Yes. It's almost like the entrance of a Rocky movie, you know? That's what it sounded like to me. I don't know. How you doing today, man?
I am excellent. As good as a Manchester United fan can be these days.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm so sorry.
It's tough. I guess we could start there. Because there's plenty of action, and there's not a great deal of fun things to talk about with Manchester United. So just hop right in on it. You know, it looks like we're going to sign Erik ten Hag.
And you feel pretty good about this, right? You feel good about it? Yes.
From a managerial perspective, I think he's a very good choice.
Yes. Okay.
The problem is that I don't think it's really the manager that's been the biggest issue at Manchester United over the last couple of years.
No.
You can say what you want about, Jose Mourinho and some of his antics and what he's like in his second and third year in a contract, the shortcomings of an inexperienced manager like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and what Ralph Rangnick has to offer at this stage of his career.
Right.
But ultimately, these are all decisions that have been made by the board. And the board has not backed these managers appropriately in the transfer windows and getting them the players that they want. To be fair, the players have not performed either. So,
right.
Can Ten Hag get the best out of these guys? Look, if he's given carte blanche, and can walk in and say, I've got a vision and these are the players I need and this is how long it's going to take and people don't get in his way, then this could be the resurgence of Manchester United back to the club they need to be. But he's got no control over whether or not the Glazers choose to invest in the ground, the training ground, the facilities, all that stuff.
Sure.
There's a lot wrong at the club right now, and until all of that gets addressed, a lot of this is window dressing.
But here's what I want to say, and this is, I guess, the first engaging question I have for you. Rangnick, I mean, the guy is, he's Manchester United. He's part of the club. I mean, the guy, is part of the lore that is, Manchester United. How big is it having the interim tag in front of you? I mean, how big is that? It's got to play into some of this. It's got to.
I agree. In retrospect, I understand what they've attempted to implement, and if Rangnick moves upstairs to more of a technical director or sporting director or whatever they're going to call him, I can see that being beneficial. I can see that really, really working out.
Testing.
No,
I'm sorry.
That's the correct side. I hear you just fine.
Correct side?
Yeah, really? I hear you. Yeah,
I hear echoes and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe I drank too much before, but
well, you're close to that back wall, so you're getting a little bit of that. That's why you want to kind of cock off to this side just a little bit.
See, that's what she said.
Yes.
Anyway.
As an example of what we're talking about and how the board is kind of interfering with things, it was largely believed Paul Pogba was going to be allowed to leave at the end of the season.
Sure.
And it would have been on a free, and that's a huge loss. But now we're hearing rumors that he's being offered a £500,000 a week contract. And it's, I understand you want to give a guy incentives to stick around, but has he been worth it? Does he deserve that kind of contract? And I think a lot of people would say no. And it sounds like a lot of people in the locker room have a problem with that.
Yeah.
And at a time when we already have problems in the locker room, we already have, these cliques apparently and animosity over who's in charge and, who's getting paid how much money. Giving a guy who is largely seen as a passenger when he should be a leader, that kind of money is going to, I think, cause a few guys to pause a little bit and either, come back and say, well, I had a better season than Paul Pogba did last year, so it's time for you to give me my money. Or they're just finally going to say, this club really has its head up its ass and I'm going elsewhere.
But wouldn't you agree, I mean, so far up to now, wouldn't you agree that, in my opinion, it's just me, but that David De Gea has had the best season of anyone on Manchester United's
Yeah, I mean,
right
from a consistency standpoint, you have to say that David's been one of the best players of the year, and that's why we bought him. It's why he's been one of the best goalies around for the better part of a decade, bar a couple seasons there. But there were a couple seasons that, were it not for David De Gea, we wouldn't have finished even as the positions that we were, and he's probably largely responsible for some of our ability to even be in the position we are right now to still be in touching distance of the top four. A lot of these goals that we've coughed up have not had David De Gea's name on them.
Well, I think for as well as last year as the guys played, Rashford and those guys, how well they played last year, if you do not have a David De Gea playing at his average, you don't finish second.
No, not at all. No question about it. But there's an argument to be made for David De Gea's importance to the team this year, and despite recent form, you got to say that Cristiano Ronaldo has scored some goals that have kept us in games or won games and things of that nature.
Absolutely.
So he's at least living up to a portion of his price tag. I'd like to see him be more of a leader, but Pogba's been out for long periods. He had an injury. And I can't really think of too many games where you would legitimately say Paul Pogba bossed this game. We should be talking about that on a pretty regular basis. There should be games where he's unplayable.
Yeah. No, you were mentioning that before we even came on the air, man. I mean, Paul Pogba is the type of player that, if used correctly, takes over a game, and he knows how to score. I mean, he knows how to score. He knows how to distribute. He knows how to do those type of things, and I guess that's my, that's why I go to that question. That interim manager thing. That interim, Rangnick, for all the criticism that he got. Because of that title, because of that term, did he not get the respect, not only from the team, but from the front office, that I think that he needed in order to right this Titanic?
I mean, some of this is some behind-the-scenes inside baseball that we're probably never going to know, right? Unless you're
not inside.
Unless you're a fly on the wall in the locker room and you're really seeing what's going on. The reality is you've signed a contract at a club and you are there to play and to win regardless of who that player is. And unless your personal relationship with the guy is horrible, then you really need to go along with it. What I would see is we've not seen very much creativity in the use of Paul Pogba. I would say Rangnick has used him a bit more in that advanced left side role than previously, but that may have as much to do with Marcus Rashford being in terrible form as anything else. Man. So, and I've been saying it for years. You've got this superstar player, and you look when he played at Juventus, the guy was amazing, and a big part of that is he did have some great players around him. Anytime he puts on a France uniform, the guy's a world-class player. Again, look at who's around him. So that does play a big part, but that does not excuse some of the sort of lack of interest in his performances.
Yeah.
And all I care about is that he would work hard and help us get to where we need to be. And then if you want to go to Madrid and they can afford you, that's fine. I understand the greener pastures aspect of it.
Yeah.
It's just, I think there are just so many things going on that we can't truly understand, that it's got a lot more to do than the X's and the O's.
Who needs to go, man? Who needs to just go? I mean, obviously there's a big problem in the front office. There's a huge problem in management and things like that. I totally get it. But in your opinion, who needs to just go? Because you cannot get past the fact, like you said, there's a whole locker room issue going on at Man U, and we've talked about it in the past weeks. Maguire being the unfortunate recipient of a couple of own goals, this past month that really hurt. You've got guys that aren't getting the playing time they want, who are undermining some things in the locker room supposedly.
Yeah.
And now with the announcement of Pogba getting this huge salary, what is that going to do to the locker room? We don't know, but just in your opinion, man, who needs to go?
This has been a popular thing, and you could do a real long deep dive on this, but I'm going to keep this to guys that are getting regular first team playing time right now.
Okay.
And just do a quick once over.
Yep.
I think David De Gea should stay one more season. His contract has become problematic in my mind, but because of his contract, it's not really a lot of teams who are going to be able to afford him, and he's been one of our best players. He deserves. So if he wants to be here, and until we're in a position to be like, hey, we can give you your testimonial and it's time for you to go back to Atletico or whatever, he should stay. I think Dean Henderson should probably move on. I mean, the guy's been talked about, as being good enough to play for England. And while he's at Manchester United and David De Gea is on this form, he's not going to get playing time, and he shouldn't get playing time, in my opinion.
Sure.
Everybody's, he played well on loan for those couple of seasons, and it's nice, but I just don't see enough in him that makes him, I'm not saying we wouldn't bring in other people. Lee Grant and Tom Heaton are, well, they're aged to say the least.
I mean,
but finding a backup goalkeeper for De Gea shouldn't be a problem.
No.
I would keep Lindelof. He's been a bit of a mixed bag, but when he plays, what you're going to get. It's generally about a 6.5 out of 10, which I'd like a little bit more. But maybe if we could, get him more consistently alongside somebody. I wouldn't say he's injury prone, certainly not compared to a guy like Eric Bailly. But he has demonstrated a little fragility. Speaking of Eric Bailly, it's just time for him to go. He's just not been able to hang. Phil Jones, I mean, it's sad what's happened to his career, but he needs to go. Harry Maguire.
Oh, this is gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. It's gotta hurt.
What
man.
else? Well, I have no personal allegiance to Harry Maguire, and we overpaid for what has been a slightly above average defender, all things considered. What he's really, really good at isn't defending. He's really, really good at picking a pass between lines, carrying the ball forward, and helping out as an attacker in the box. And we've seen what he can do for England. I wouldn't get rid of him just now. That said, Rangnick needs to start managing him mentally. And Eric Ten Hag is going to need to have a conversation with him very, very early on.
Sure.
Rafa Varane, I would keep him. Again, very injury prone, but I think at his best, he's a world class defender. He's won the Champions League. He's won the World Cup. Diego Dalot, if we can find a right back, I think Dalot should probably go. I don't really think that he's got enough one way or the other. And he's the kind of guy, I think, who if he went to, go back to Italy, go to Spain, I think he could be successful.
Sure.
I'll keep them together. I think Shaw and Tellez are both good.
Yes.
They each offer something slightly different to each other. They're both left-footed. Luke's had a downturn in form this year, but I'm just going to say that obviously the revealed that the rod that he had in his leg has been causing him problems recently, so he's having surgery on that. Tellez, I think, has really been good to push Shaw, and he offers a few things that are different. So to me, the left side is really the one place where I don't feel like we really have to worry about upgrading. You know, if somebody came out of the blue and we wanted, and it was a good deal, okay, but we've got two solid left side players right there. And Luke can play left side of a back three if you need. Tellez can really be advanced, so I like them.
Can I say something real quick about Shaw? Shaw, I mean, for as many times he puts his foot in his mouth, I think United needs somebody like Luke Shaw. They need a, kind of that agitator, kind of that can get in there. I think that he could step into the position of, kind of what, oh my gosh. Just that person to come in and challenge and to say, hey, look, we need to pick this this up. We need to pick it up.
I'd keep Wan Bissaka. Again, I think we need to upgrade on the right side no matter what. Him and Dalot just really haven't been able to hold it down. But I think Wan Bissaka can be seen as a specialist defender. When you're going to play, I mean, he's had Raheem Sterling in his pocket for about the last 3 years. I think if you're going away in Europe and you're going to be playing against a speedy winger, you just know that he doesn't get forward quite the same way. He's not going to give you a lot of end product, but in certain games you don't need that, and he's somebody who can help you out.
Okay,
Brandon Williams, I've just not seen enough from him on his loan spell at Norwich. If they want him, let's see if they'll take him for a decent price. Same with Tuanzebe. Unfortunately for Axel, he's just had a lot of injuries over the last couple of years. He's not going to get game time if he comes back to United. Seems like he's happy at Napoli. If they want him, take it. Ted Mendy, still young, no reason to leave just right now.
Sure.
Paul Pogba,
you're stuck. I mean,
look, if he wants to leave, he can leave because he's going to be out of contract. I don't know about this whole £500,000 a week thing. So that, to me, that's an Eric Ten Hag, Paul Pogba conversation.
Yeah.
And he's going to need to have that conversation with several guys. And it's not a beg Paul Pogba to stay. It's a, hey man, this is what I'm going to need from you.
Yes.
Can you do it?
Yeah.
It's another job interview.
Yep.
Juan Mata, I love you. Great servant. Time to go.
Yeah.
And not time to go in a bad way. Just I want the best for him. Go back to your Spanish club and finish out a few years. He deserves it. Jesse Lingard, I'd love to stay, but if I was Jesse Lingard, I'd leave. He's been treated so poorly by this club. I know a lot of people don't like his clothing line and think he's helped contribute to some of this, and maybe he has. But I've always liked Jesse Lingard. He's one of those almost there kind of players, but last year showed you exactly what he can do. Gave him free reign at a club like West Ham. He can play well. He played well for England at the Euros.
Yeah.
The guy's clearly quality. Andreas Pereira, just not good enough.
Okay.
Ahmad, I'd like to see him getting a little bit more game time. Ahmad and Facundo, I think, kind of occupy the same space. They're very young. They're promising. I don't think they're costing us a whole lot of money. So let's see if they're ready to get into the first team.
Sure.
But if next year, if they can't start getting themselves into the first team and demonstrating at least a little bit of what they got, then no.
Wouldn't it be worth it? Well, no, I guess not. Because, technically, you're still fighting for fourth. You're still fighting for fourth.
Sure.
I was going to say, wouldn't it be worth it to kind of see him in action now?
If numerically we find ourselves in a position where we can't, like say maybe we've gotten ourselves where the last 3 games of the season we can't, I would start playing all the young guys and seeing what's available and getting ready for next year and experimenting with lineups. But for as long as mathematically we can be in it, you've got to play the guys that you think are going to win.
Sure.
Fred stays one of the hardest workers at the club, and I ultimately believe if we get the system correct, he can be very, very useful. He's been very, very good in a slightly more advanced role, still part of that, base. But, they seem to work it out where McTominay sits a little bit more and Fred's able to get forward, and he's really, really been involved. He's scored some goals. He's been involved in the attack, so I like it. Bruno obviously stays. I think maybe make him captain.
I agree.
Nemanja, time to go. Love the guy, but it's
Matic.
Yeah,
really?
Okay. You're just at that point. I'm just guessing he's probably 33, 34 years old at this point. I love it, but hopefully we're going to implement a system where we're not going to need to bring on a guy like Nemanja to be our quarterback to try to get a goal late in the game. I think just move him on and try to find a younger guy maybe through the academy to help out. Donnie, I mean, this seems like a match made in heaven for him to come back here and get a fresh start with Erik ten Hag. He was vital to that Ajax team and their deep run in the Champions League. I mean, he was on the verge of being world class, and I think to come back and play for Ten Hag gets him in a position to be back in good graces with the Netherlands.
Okay.
And that's exactly what a lot of these guys want to be focusing on, is getting ready for next World Cup. James Garner, it's about time to start getting him some first team time. He scored some goals. He's doing really well on loan at Notts Forest, I think. So, yeah, definitely a keeper. McTominay, a keeper, but if we bring in a Declan Rice or I think we're looking at some Uruguayan dude that's playing in Italy, I'm not quite sure, that might begin to spell the end of his time.
Okay.
But until we've got somebody else, he's useful. Again, I think the next manager is going to have to say, here's what I need from you. Can you do it? He's just not developed as much as I would have hoped. But a lot of guys have stagnated this season, so we'll see what a new manager does for him. Hannibal, kind of same with James Garner. It's about time to start getting him a bit more first-team action to see what he can contribute, and he's a youngster. Cristiano, nobody's going to be able to take him. I think Ten Hag has got to come in and say, look, man, this is the role you're going to play, and there's no discussion to be had. And I'm going to convince you that it's a very, very good thing for you, and you're still going to get your shine, but you're not going to be a pain in the ass to this club the way you've been sometimes. Tony, would love it if Tony came back with the right mindset, but I don't think he's gonna. And if Sevilla want him and can pay for him, do it. Marcus, would love to see him get back on track, so I don't want him going anywhere just yet. This person doesn't exist to me until we find out what's going on. Tahith has never really quite elevated his game for me, so maybe one more loan spell, but it might be time to sell him. Anthony, youngster, starting to make bones. Man. So this time next year, I think we should be, having a conversation about, should this kid be a regular starter?
No, I agree. I agree.
Jaden has been one of the few bright spots for us this season. So obviously, stick around. I mean, it's just been his first year. Took him a minute to settle in, but he's done all right. Edinson, time to go. Same sort of thing. He's just his age, everything. Maybe it's time for him to go to LA or Atlanta or Miami or something like that.
There you go.
Make a few bones and score easy.
Yep.
Shola needs to probably start making a name for himself in the first team. He's had a couple opportunities, but he's young, so we don't need to worry about that. So that's the first squad. I mean, I don't think there were too many guys there that I said definitely got to go.
Yeah, no.
But I think it really depends on what Ten Hag's plan is and what kind of players we want to bring in. Because we've got to create a team for the man.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that,
it's halftime.
Snap.
Let's see. Do we have halftime music?
Do we?
We'll do.
Can we do
in honor of the Champions League this week? There
we go. I'm going to cover this up so that way we don't know what's going on. My halftime shot goes to, ladies and gentlemen, there's a new podcast today.
Oh, lovely. Good friend of the pod.
Yeah, good friend of the pod, and Desiree Garcia and Michelle Freed launched a podcast.
For those of you familiar with our previous work, you will recognize Miss Freed.
Yeah, absolutely. She was a honored guest on the show.
Regular contributor.
Exactly. And they now have a podcast called the Cuban and the Sooner.
Excellent.
And it's talking about like workplace, work-life teetering.
Everybody needs a good work-life balance.
Exactly. Although I listened to it today. They don't believe in the word balance. It's teetering. So
okay. All right. I understand. Hey,
we're all screwed up.
Buzzwords. I like it.
There you go.
I like it.
So, cheers. Welcome to the world of pod.
Yeah.
And guys, nothing but success hopefully comes your way. So, that's my halftime shot.
Excellent. Well, my halftime shot goes out to all of the teams in the last few days that have played some of the highest quality football
my gosh, man.
that we've been treated to. I'm a United fan, and it hurts me to say this, but that City Liverpool game was one of the best regular season matches. That there's stuff. There was something on the line, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
But there wasn't a trophy immediately being raised after that one.
No.
And the level of play, the level of intensity, the level of respect going on between the coaches, between the players, is absolutely wonderful to watch. And then yesterday we were treated to Chelsea, Real Madrid. Again, from a neutral's perspective, you really just you're like, oh, this team's going away with a 1-3 deficit, and they turned it around almost immediately. It was brilliant, and then it was an absolute street fight after that.
It was great.
Speaking of street fights, we got almost a real street fight, but a great match out of Atletico and City today. Even Benfica made a fist of it against Liverpool, and obviously Villareal holding out on Bayern Munich and causing a huge upset. So just some of the quality of football we've gotten to watch over the last 4 or 5 days has been exceptional. So that's me loving the beautiful game. So shout out to New Pod, and shout out to everybody who loves a beautiful game. Slanty. Oh no.
Have mercy.
Oh no. Evan.
Ooh.
Speaking of
Yes, till I die. Absolutely, my friend. What you got for me, brother? What you got for me?
Evan, have you lost any love for Chelsea after just an absolute heartbreaker of a loss?
Yeah.
Or does this club just grow bigger and bigger in your heart every day?
I tell you, first of all, hats off to Real Madrid.
Absolutely.
I mean, Benzema is just he is the real deal. But I will say this: the entire club, man, hats off to you guys. It would be very easy being down 3-0.
Yeah.
At home and hanging your heads. They came back, and they won. They did win.
Mm-hmm.
This Chelsea team, for everything that it's going through right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like I legitimately love this team.
Yeah.
I know that I'm not popular in saying that I'm a Diego Costa fan. Like he's my guy. Like you just have you've got some players that you're like, yeah, I know he's an ass, but
he's your ass at times. Well, he was.
My ass. But it's hard not to cheer for Timo Werner. It's hard not to cheer for Mason Mount.
Yeah.
It's hard not to cheer for Kai Havertz and Hakim Ziyech and Pooley and those guys. Just the thing that I'm so excited about is how they got up off the mat after that. After
absolutely
getting hammered by Brentford, and then getting hammered by Real, back to back, just like, oh my God, here it goes. And you remember, I think I texted you and I said, okay, I think this is the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
And Tuchel surprises us again.
Yeah.
He threw a curveball, and when I saw Werner starting up front with Havertz and Mount and and Ziyech coming in and Pulisic coming, I was like, okay, he may have something here. Werner has 3 goals in 2 matches, man. I'm like, Lukaku hasn't done that all year.
Yeah.
And now, granted, I'm not going to take anything away from Lukaku, but what I can say is that the exciting thing about this team is you can see it. They love playing with each other. They love playing with the guys,
Yeah.
And I think that the rotation that they have in right now can set them up to finish in the top 4.
Mm-hmm.
I really do think that if they continue to play like they're playing now, with the teams we have coming up, because there's some tough teams. We got West Ham coming up. We've got, we've got to play Everton.
Yeah,
we got to play Everton, and they have a lot to play for, man. And so
they are terrible.
They're terrible, but
they beat United.
Well, They did, but what I'm saying is that when you know you're about to be relegated, it just seems like
Sure.
you pack it in.
Their
or
backs are
you're
against
done.
the wall.
Their backs are against the wall. So I think that this is the best combination of a team that we have to put forward right now, and I think that this team right now has the opportunity to solidify ourselves in the Champions League again next year, finishing top 4, and really doing something that I think the entire world will look at and be like, you know what, man, these guys, wow, they pulled it together in the midst of all this crisis, and they played football.
Yeah.
So that's my take. I just, you guys out there who are Chelsea fans, my God, I mean, how can you not be excited and happy for these guys?
Well, let me play devil's advocate here.
Here we go.
I would say that I'll go back to what I've seen as the main concerns for the team, and again, reared their ugly head yesterday, is that they just aren't as clinical in front of goal as they need to be, and as much of a soft spot as we hold for Timo Werner. He's not a world-class striker.
As I hold for Timo Werner.
Well, I thought him moving to, I liked him when I saw him playing in Germany. I thought, okay, this could be interesting. And unfortunately, he's just not really been able to find his goal-scoring boots. Yeah. I would say that he might be more useful, as a wide attacker, kind of role, because his movement causes problems.
So kind of put him in where Chilwell was? Maybe?
No,
try him out there?
No, I think I would put him in the rotation with the way that Pulisic, Mount, Ziyech, and Havertz are getting used. All those guys are being used sort of anywhere across the front.
Sure.
But none of them are actually true number 9s.
Yeah.
Really.
Right.
And, Lukaku has really not lived up to what he needs to. I think you might actually been better off keeping Olivier Giroud, to be honest.
I agree.
But you create a lot of opportunities, and without let's say, Harry Kane or, the young guys, Erling Haaland, which is a pie in the sky thing. But I mean, I'm talking an out and out striker.
Yeah.
Werner's not a fox in the box kind of guy, and you really don't possess a player like that. Now, the cynicists would look around and say, well, Tammy Abraham now has 20 goals in Italy. Yeah. Those of us who follow the game would say, in Italy. And I mean, that's not nearly the crack that it seems. I respect the Italian league, but what I'm saying is what it takes is vastly different. The physicality, the movement, yada, yada. And I think that is huge for Chelsea. I think a priority for Chelsea has got to be an out-and-out striker. And if apparently Harry Kane's flirting with everybody, might as well throw your hat in the ring.
Might as well.
Erling Haaland is just way too expensive, so I'm not sure I would even go for that.
Right.
But you've also got to address some of these guys that are beginning to age out.
Well, and here's the thing, too. How do we flirt? We don't know where the money's coming from now. You know what I mean?
That's a huge issue, especially when $7 more billion got seized today.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I think
that's the show mascot in the background.
There you go. That's right. They get fired up whenever we talk, Chelsea and, oligarchs and all that good stuff.
They do. They hate the oligarchs.
They do. With this Chelsea team, what I'm seeing is guys actually playing. Oh, well, there you go. Actually playing football and playing together well.
Yeah.
I think that, like I said, is Timo Werner an elite footballer? Absolutely not. No, he's not. But I think in combination that Tuchel has, these guys out there and is, putting these guys in and out and exchanging and substituting and all that stuff. If he isn't at least considered for manager of the year, Tuchel, I'm like, under the circumstances, to finish top 4. If they finish top 4, I get it. You're going to look at Pep. You're going to look at Klopp. I totally get it. But the guy's done a phenomenal job, man. I mean, I don't know you could ask any more from him.
He's done a good job to keep them focused.
Yes.
the shortcoming for Chelsea this year is that they just didn't retool as well as they could have. I mean, they won the Champions League last year. They obviously finished, in the top four, put themselves, but
defensively speaking,
you see, and I won't say it's a gulf. It's a gulf for Manchester United, right? We have a huge path to climb in order to get back. Chelsea have a great foundation for a club and a good mindset.
Yeah.
But
it's a substantial gap.
You can see the difference.
Sure.
From Liverpool and City to Chelsea, and yesterday Real Madrid and Chelsea, and you might even look at it and say Chelsea have a slightly better defense than Real Madrid, but Real Madrid definitely have a better attack than Chelsea.
Absolutely.
And the key thing was you pinned them back for long periods of time. They got one or two opportunities and then they scored them. You guys were battering at the door and couldn't even get it on frame. And that is just the minutia. That's the difference right there. United aren't even in the conversation about the minutia. Well, that's how far we are. You guys aren't far away. Right. But I think the biggest concern for most Chelsea fans right now has got to be what is literally happening next. I'm not worried about what the guys on the field are going to do. I bet they go out and play their asses off against Crystal Palace.
Absolutely.
And even if they have, a bit of a letdown after, a game like Real Madrid, that it happens. You're going to finish top four most likely. But the uncertainty is who's leading this club forward.
Yeah.
And the positive spin is whoever comes in has got a lot of money and is going to want to continue the success that they've seen out of this club. This isn't I'm buying Newcastle and I have to create a whole new thing.
Right.
This is an owner coming in saying, look, I want to put my touch on it, but by and large, this has been one of the most successful teams over the last almost 20 years now. But it doesn't always work. The Glazers have won things. The Glazers just won a Super Bowl.
Sure.
The Glazers have a lot of money. It's no guarantee. And in the interim, if Lukaku's probably going to go.
I agree. Yeah, I think so.
I think really a guy like Havertz is.
Oh boy,
I like him, but again, he's German, so it's like saying when Cristiano wanted to leave United for Real Madrid. What's the big club to that player?
Sure.
Who do they want to play for? Chelsea's a massive club, but he's got his Champions League trophy. I want to go to Bayern and play.
Yeah.
And my family,
Sure.
all this stuff.
I think talking about all this, we can have all the positive spins we want, but whoever buys this club, they are going to have a PR cleanup. They still will have a PR cleanup that they've got to manage. And I think that Chelsea fans, I think by and large we're down. We're for the club, and I think it just depends on how the new owner or owners come out. I think if they come out and they're like, well, we're going to change all this and blah blah blah, and it's like, okay. But I think if they embrace the guys that are there, if they are able to take care of the guys who are here, I agree with you. I think that Chelsea has an incredible foundation already there in place.
Yeah.
That if we can keep these guys, Havertz is I'm sorry, he's one of my guys. We have to do what we can to keep him. I'm not sure that it's going to be enough. Like you said, I think that there is loyalty to. For someone in their country.
Yeah.
I think that, unless it's like...
I got no idea where he is in his contract or anything like that. I'm just speculating that, this kind of uncertainty for a player, especially in a World Cup year, is important. The last thing you want is, I'm sure this is on the mind of a lot of United guys right now. I might be playing on a regular basis right now, but Ten Hag plays a certain system that I'm not sure I fit into, and it's a World Cup year.
Sure.
If I'm Jesse Lingard, I'm fucking off to West Ham or Everton if they recover or something like that, and saying, make me your number 10, make me an attacker, because I got a lot to offer and I want to go to a World Cup.
I mean, you said it before. If Declan Rice comes over, if I was Lingard, I'd be like,
Well,
I'd be batting my eyes.
Lingard's not in anybody's plans right now, and it's unfortunate. But there's, again, one of those players that, given the right circumstances, can flourish. And we've seen, you've had players. I think it took Ziyech quite some time to really, really settle in. And for those people who saw him play at Ajax and see him play for his home nation, I think he's Moroccan, know that there is plenty of talent there.
Yeah.
But it doesn't translate to every league. It doesn't translate to every team.
Sure.
And, sometimes you've got to go look for those places that you can have that success. Havertz is playing well, and he's in the plans, but you never know what these guys personally want. Dimitri Payet was looking great in England, but his family hated being there, and they wanted to go back to France, so that's why he went back to France.
Yeah.
Who knows what's going on behind the scenes?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. But anyway, that's what I got to say about Chelsea.
All righty. Well, we've got about 15 minutes left to get under the hour mark so we can meet our Instagram and other parameters.
Wow,
so let's switch over to the World Cup analysis that we started last week.
Oh, man.
And we started with Group B for our baby Eagles, where the United States national team resides. But today we're taking on Group A, which consists of the hosts, Qatar, or Qatar, if you insist, Ecuador, Netherlands, and Senegal.
Yeah.
I think right off the bat, one thing I found interesting today with doing a little research is this is the first time that the host nation will not play the first match of the World Cup.
Oh.
For whatever reason, I believe the Netherlands and Senegal get the opening game, which it would be fun. I mean, that's two good teams opening up the World Cup. That's going to be exciting.
Hell of a match.
I'm going to give my quick overview and predictions, and then you can do the same.
Okay.
I'm going to say Qatar doesn't score a goal at the World Cup, and they are bounced early, just like South Africa in 2010. Unfortunate, but it will happen.
Okay.
I think Ecuador has some work to do to put themselves in the running here. I think very clearly the Netherlands are the top team. They've had some up and down, form over the last couple of years, but I think Van Gaal's got him playing pretty well, and I think that they've always liked him.
Yep.
And the whole, recent cancer diagnosis and him having success with that as they head into the fall, I think they're going to have kind of a siege mentality kind of vibe. Everybody's going to rally around one another.
No, I see that.
And then I think, Senegal on recent performances, what they've been able to do in African Cup of Nations and how they qualified for the World Cup, I think they're going to have a bit too much for Ecuador. So I'm picking Netherlands to go through as the one team and Senegal number two. And that would probably likely, assuming the United States get through, I think we're going to be looking at the Netherlands in the second round. It's a winnable match. But to get out of the group, they're gonna have to do right, and they're gonna have to really be focused for the Netherlands as well. But I see that team potentially having a deep run. I don't know that they're quite as stacked and quite as team focused as they've been in a few previous World Cups.
Sure,
but there's a lot of talent. Memphis is finally living up to things, and maybe Donny van de Beek comes back to United, and that kickstarts his career as well, because there's plenty of talent. The one thing I don't want to talk about a lot is individual players, simply because between now and then, who knows what can happen, especially for some of these bigger nations that, already have a large player pool.
Right.
Look, Sadio Mane, barring an injury, is going to the World Cup for Senegal.
Yeah.
And their roster is probably not going to be shaken up a lot, whereas Netherlands, there's always room for those last 4, 5, 6 guys to be some, youngster who's really starting to make a name for himself out of PSV or an Ajax, or an older player who's been on the fringe and all of a sudden is, killing it for, a mid-sized club somewhere. So I still think that's my favorite there.
Okay.
Who you got, Evan?
Well, I'm gonna say it, and I know it's a cliche phrase from the good old ball coach, but not so fast, my friend. Not so fast. I think Senegal. I think they put up a really good fight. I'm with you with the Netherlands. I think the Netherlands are just the class of the group. Yeah. I think they go through. I'm going with Qatar. simply because I know my man Mendy is the goalkeeper, and it hurts me to say that for Senegal, but I just don't think. Go ahead. Oh, it's so sexy. Anyway, I just don't think that Senegal will score like Qatar can. Qatar can score goals. Now, I think the big question is, can they defend? Right. You know, and so I could be totally off on this or whatever, but I think they ride the wave of the home crowd, and you know, I think that you know, the Sheikh puts enough money into somebody's pockets in Senegal. No, I'm just kidding. I'm so just kidding. They're going to cancel this podcast because I said that. I swear they're going to do it. And if they do, it's my fault.
His name is Evan Casey.
No. I think just the fact that they can score goals. I think that they take advantage of Ecuador. I think Ecuador puts up a valiant fight against all three of these teams. I think Ecuador goes 0-3. I think it's between Qatar and Senegal, and I think Qatar finds a way to get it done. So Netherlands, Qatar, I think go through.
Interesting. Well, that would behoove whoever is in Group B to want to finish first, for sure. That said, if Qatar manages to get out of the group, then sky's the limit, because obviously they've done well enough to get past not three simple teams. I mean,
no.
I don't think this is a group of death in any way, but it's not the easiest group either, I don't believe.
I think looking at them as we go through these next few podcasts, I'm not sure there is a group of death.
Not in the traditional sense.
No. I think every team in each group, with the exception of a few, I think with 3 out of 4 teams in each group can look at their group and go, I think we have a chance here.
Yeah.
So I
think that's what you want. That you want a competitive World Cup. You don't always want it to be the same old. I mean, we saw last time around, Germany struggled, and Mexico and South Korea,
they made it.
Put them aside. So, that's what we're hoping for. I don't see it, but I hope Qatar is competitive. You want that one. You just want the host nation to be competitive, because that's the joy of it. I was at a fan fest for the third South Africa match of the first round, and my goodness, it was just an absolute party. And when South Africa scored, it was fantastic. But all France had to do was score one, and that was going to eliminate them. Yeah. And that happened, and you felt the sadness, because the joy coming out of the South Africans and just being around it was phenomenal. Absolutely. Really loved it. So for the sake of the tournament and sake of the average Qatari, I would hope.
That's what I'm going with.
Is there such a I have to bone up on my Qatar history and
okay.
and learn its makeup.
Your Qatar history. Let's look at that. But like I said, I could be totally wrong, and I probably am totally wrong, but I definitely am with you. I think Netherlands, they're just too much.
I think we're going to have to create a spreadsheet here to get our predictions.
Oh.
And and I'll create a spreadsheet, and then we'll
podcast from our favorite place, and we will buy shots.
Well, we'll give ourselves grades on it as we move through the tournament, and maybe we can put a little wager on it as we go on.
Hey,
right on.
I'm good with that, man.
Right on.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that's our look at Group A.
Yes.
So there you go. Which leads us into our final little segment here, the Hey Aaron segment.
Excellent.
And I want to go ahead and just do that right there. Hey Aaron, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Hey Aaron, who's going to lead the U.S. in scoring in the 2022 World Cup?
Ooh.
I came with it today, man. I came with it.
I'm going to go with the fairly obvious choice of Pulisic for this reason.
Oh.
I think the United States still don't have their number one striker. I don't think we've found it out. I don't know if I don't know if it's Pepe, Ferreira, Sargent. Pfok has been playing well. He's going to have to deserve his opportunities. Hoppy, all these guys.
Okay.
No one has claimed it. No one has said, this is my spot. And I think even between now and then, that guy will score some goals, but Pulisic always seems to be popping up in the right places.
Okay.
He can create for himself. He creates for others, and then he finds himself as a bit of a fox in the box. I mean,
Gotcha.
he scored a couple goals here in the recent qualifiers where, Cookie's ball just kind of fell right to him, and he's in the right place, right time.
Cookies, ladies and gentlemen.
We even talked
That's
about
awesome.
it earlier at the end of that Chelsea match. That hard shot that kind of deflected through it ended up falling to the feet of Jorginho, and he kind of just sort of left foot dragged it wide. And Pulisic is standing maybe 2 feet away, and you got to think, if that ball hits Pulisic and he controls it, he's at least putting it on frame.
I don't think he misses 3 shots.
And then I'm going to add in, Pulisic takes PKs, and I think we're going to create problems for teams. I think we're going to run at teams. We're going to cause issues, and if we get PKs, he's going to be converting them. So I think especially if we get out of the first group, we put some points on the board and score some goals, Pulisic will be that guy. But it's going to take a team effort. It's going to take Weston McKennie weighing in with those headers. It's going to take guys taking some pot shots and scoring from some odd angles and manufacturing some goals when it's needed. But I do think if he's on form and healthy, Pulisic's going to lead the way.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first at the Hey Aaron segment. And once again, that was masterfully done, my friend. Masterfully done. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to the Red and the Blue Soccer Chat. And it's my second favorite part of the show, where my good dear friend Aaron gets to send us out with the final word. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. Aaron, what you got for us tonight, brother?
Yeah, touched on it a little bit earlier, and I think we sometimes take the game for granted and what it gives to us, and we don't always get these tremendous performances. I'll liken it to this. I'm a Fish fan. And I've gone to see them many, many times, and they're constantly playing, and they're constantly turning out kind of a new kind of take on what they're always doing. But because of that, some nights you don't always catch them on the best night, and it's still enjoyable, and you're glad you went, and you have a good time, and you probably got to see them do something fun and different. But every once in a while, you're there for one of those shows that people talk about for years to come.
Wow.
And what we got to see over the weekend, some of the games we've gotten to see in the last few days are exactly what we want. And you almost can't really expect to get it on a regular basis, because it is something that has to kind of come together with teams building toward something.
Right.
And teams run into each other at different times. And you're always going to get some good rivalry games, right? It doesn't matter if IU or Purdue is actually in the top 25 or not. It's probably going to be a good game, right? They're going to fight for it.
Right.
But I'm talking about those classics, those games where the presence of one team elevates the game of the other and vice versa. And it's a heavyweight boxing match, and they go toe-to-toe for 15 rounds, and sometimes it's tied, and they do it again. So it'd be pretty cool if maybe we come out of this the other side and we get a Liverpool, Manchester City Champions League final, which I think is a possibility. Yeah, because it's going to be, it's Real and
Villa. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's Liverpool via Real and City Madrid. So if they go through, that's what we're going to get. And folks, I'll be honest, I think no matter what, I think we're going to get a good final. But when two teams start to learn each other,
man,
that's really, really, when you get the poke and prod and the figuring each other out, and you get some fantastic football matches. So
I agree.
Hopefully you all get the metaphor there.
Is it kind of like Apollo Creed and Rocky Balboa? Is that it? Or?
That was a good one. That was definitely a classic.
Yeah, they got 3 movies out.
They did. They did.
Actually 4.
True.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Well, 3.5.
I was going to say, Apollo's not so happy about that 4th movie.
Oh man.
But yeah, look. Let's put it this way: enjoy what you enjoy, and then really, really remember to lean in when you get the good ones.
There you go. That's it. Ladies and gentlemen, why my good friend, just sent us out. And we're going out to our theme music. Guys, listen, thank you so much for joining us. Please make sure to tell your friends. Hit us up on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts from. It's the Red and the Blue Soccer Chat with Aaron and Evan. And guys, love you all. Aaron, what are the hashtags, brother?
Hashtag the Red and Blue Soccer Chat. Hashtag the Evan and Aaron Show. Hashtag Sege.
Hashtag Black People Vote.
Stay golden, folks. Love you.